Good evening, all, and welcome to the Tactical Devils. I'm your host, Javi. Sorry, my mic was muted. Good evening, all, and welcome to the Tactical Devils. I'm your host, Jarvis Cocker, and with me tonight I have my co-host, Stu Woolley. And with us tonight we have a special guest. It's Sean from United versus Everybody. Will be a great stream, and Johnny Commode will be joining us tonight. We will talk about the latest with Gyökeres and all the ongoings with that case. We all seen this from Fabrizio Romano. Arsenal are now getting closer to signing Viktor Gyökeres after new rounds of talks in recent hours. So there will be a lot to talk about. We will be back after the intro. So see you in a second. While you wait, smash the like and subscribe to the channel. Yes, everybody, it's Sunday night. It's a weekend wrap-up show with Jarvis and Stu, and tonight we have Sean with us. It will be a brilliant show. So, guys, just start by smashing that like. I see a lot of people are in the house already. Yalem Almin, Ben is here, Ben Dover.
Go Ben.
Boxing Straight Talk 2.0 of Yalem Almin, Jamie, Wayne, Carlos. Who else? Danny B, the legend. Big up, Danny B. I hope you're well. I am Titanium. Neil Davis, Tom Porter, John Edmonds. Who else? Yeah, a lot of legends in the chat already. So it's going to be a fully packed show. We even have the Routinator coming in, one of our moderators, and Madhouse, the maddest of them all. Good to see you, Madhouse. Yes, we're going to talk about Man United. We're going to talk about Viktor Gyökeres. Man United are not signing Gyökeres. He's going to Arsenal, it looks like. And we are actually out of option. We couldn't sign the lap. We couldn't sign Gyökeres. Cesko is too expensive. Ekitike is too expensive. Watkins could be an option. We heard today Dominic Calvert-Lewin is an option on a free, but I don't think that will happen. So I don't know, guys. Let's start with our guest, Sean, and tell me your thoughts on the striker debate.
I mean, there's how much of a debate is there left to have? I mean, I guess it really depends on what you think we're looking for. Are we looking for that world-class top-tier striker like a Gyökeres, or do we think we have enough in Mbeumo and Cunha to maybe that's where the Delap and the Ollie Watkins come into play? Because I don't put Watkins in that top tier. The only other person that's probably left in that top tier is Osimhen, right? So
yes,
who else? I mean, I would have maybe considered Jonathan David like a tier below that, but it looks like he's at Juventus now. So, so not many options.
You mentioned Osimhen, but I don't think he's a likely signing at the moment. I think he will be too expensive. His wage demands are... I don't know what to say. Stu, would you sign Osimhen on 400 and I don't know £50,000 a week or?
Good evening, everybody. I wouldn't sign him on 450 grand a week, but I'd take him at 250 grand. He was my top choice anyway. He's a far better finisher than Gyökeres by miles. He plays exactly where we need him to play. He plays right in the fucking centre. He'll play off the shoulder. He holds the ball up. He's good in the air. He's all right, not decent with both feet, but his penetration over Gyökeres was far better in my opinion. However, I can kind of understand the discontent in the ranks with the fans at the moment. We don't have anywhere else to go now. We really don't. I don't actually think Osimhen, by the way, is a viable option for us. I really don't. I don't think it works for us financially. But then you've got the likes of John Duran, who's just moved from Saudi Arabia and he's popped off to Fenerbahce. Now, you would have taken Duran. I said you would have taken Duran last season, Jarvis, if you remember when we were going through the Premier League players we would take.
Yeah.
And Duran was one of them. Yeah, I know he's a bit of a hit and miss striker in terms of his ability to shoot out the box, but he got something about him. He was quick in behind. He could pick a pass. He could score goals. And if you take Osimhen out of that equation, Watkins he's probably as good as we're going to get right now, to be honest. You've got to go for somebody like Watkins now because you've got to go for Premier League proven.
Yeah.
Unless, Hoyland, by some miracle, like we said the other day, can kind of work with Cunha, can work with Mbeumo if we get him over the line, and we see something a little bit different. But other than that, I don't really know where we go. There's only 3 or 4 clubs that need a top-end 9. And there's only 2 really top-end 9s around there to go and buy. And Gyökeres is gone. So it's one of those for me, Jarvis and the old mate. One of those.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Big up Johnny K. Johnny Kermode, good to see you. I just want to read out this from Rushmanu, who said DCL's injury record is 4 months out of a number of seasons in a row. Ratcliffe won't allow an injury-prone player to join. So on that topic, do you find like Dominic Calvert-Lewin as a viable option, or is it just crazy talk?
Yeah, crazy talk. I can't see us signing Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago during Ollie's time, I think we were linked with him then, which he was a decent player then, but the last 4 or 5 years he's had a lot of injuries and unfortunately not. As for Gyökeres, it is a blow for Amorim. He's obviously a player who knows the system. He's obviously had 2 very good seasons at Sporting. But I have been a bit put off by the whole drama with the Sporting and his agent and everything. And I was put off by that. I started to get the feeling this doesn't seem right to me. I don't as good as a player he is. I'm sure we'll talk about the players who won't be returning. Is he potentially a player which might stir some trouble within a year or 2? Is that who we really want? We don't know that, but according to Romano, was it 99% likely we would have probably got him if we won Europa League. So if you quote Barada, do we want players who simply want to play for us if we're in the Champions League? So again, I started to feel a little bit like I'm not sure he's the right player for us. But equally, we are right to ask, well, who's going to be the alternative? We do need a striker. For what I was read, I think Ollie Watkins is probably the best one available. He is Prem proven. I think he's probably the least risk. I think with Gyökeres going to Arsenal, he's obviously a better player than him. But sometimes you get very good players on the continent who can't translate it to the Premier League. So it's while he's done well in Portugal, would he have done the same in a high league, for example? So we're about to find out when he joins us. But whereas with Watkins, I think that forward line, we've got Cunha, we get Mbeumo in. If we get Watkins, all of a sudden that looks like a decent front line then. Where you would expect us to, at least in my opinion, push for European spots. I think eventually we will need a top striker, but where we are as a club at the moment, we're not shopping in the same league as City, Arsenal, Liverpool at this moment. Unfortunately, we have to confront the reality where we are. We want to get there, but we won't get there all being well for another 2-3 seasons. So in my opinion, it's about the first priority getting back into Europe. If we can get in the Champions League through, no Europe and having a good squad, then we build from there. So unfortunately, it's just the reality. We're not shopping in the top market at this moment, but within the next couple of seasons, we will start to compete, but it's going to take a lot of patience, in my view.
Yeah. You're right about that. That Swedes coming in and say it's not looking good at the moment, and I think a lot of people feeling the PTSD from the past, coming back again. And can we trust Ineos and the Glazers to fix this? I'm starting to get really worried, even for the Mbumo deal. And I don't know, Sean. Do you think the Mbumo deal is done, or are we still in negotiation for the extra 5 millions?
I probably think it's both. I think it is done, but I do think it's just a matter of a couple million, depending on upfront, what the add-ons, this and that. Which, to me, it's reassuring, but at the same time, it's still frustrating because it's not anything new that we've seen for United. How many summers have we seen us haggling this long over the matter of £5 million? We hoped maybe it would be different under Ineos, under this new regime, but it's still feeling a lot similar to what we've seen the last decade in the summer.
Yeah, you're right about that. Stu, £5 million. Don't you have an extra 5 million in your account that you can just help out for million owners just to get the deal over the line?
Look,
sell one of your Ferraris.
Well, I was thinking of doing that. Yeah. Look, I think Mbumo was done 2 weeks ago. I think there's a lot of fucking conjecture in the media. I don't think anybody really knows what's happening with Mbumo. The disturbing thing is we haven't got him over the line ready to come in on July the 7th, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at Carrington. I for whatever reason, whether they're waiting for the kit launch, whether they're waiting for some kind of announcement to unveil on Boomer or to go live that it's on Boomer, I don't know. If I was United, I'd have been looking at the Gyökeres information tonight. I thought, we've got to fucking deal with it. I was surprised it hadn't been delivered information-wise tonight, because you've got to kind of stop the rot, haven't you, with the fan base? The fan base is getting so antsy now that I would imagine the United Twitter page is just inundated with derogatory terms. You know what it's like. So for me, I think Mbumo's done. I'm pretty sure that we've got to start moving in other directions now, and we've got to be quick about it. I'm seeing a variety of different things. I've told you before, a lot of it's lazy journalism anyway. A lot of it.
Is there any other kind?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a journalist, so, I know it works. I know exactly how sports journalism works, and it's just terrible. Some of the headlines, they're just ridiculous. But it's all clickbait, you see. The modern day journo is more worried about clickbait. And, everybody was saying United was in for Gyökeres, and all of a sudden everyone's backtracking. Romano's backtracking, Whitwell's backtracking, everyone's backtracking. It's quite comical, really, to be honest.
Well, you said you'd expected to see something in Buemo or somebody in before preseason. I wonder what Amorim's thinking. He comes back to get ready to go to Carrington, and he's like, "Where's my squad, guys?" Yeah,
I think he's going to have serious questions for the board. Absolutely. And Buemo himself, the player himself, he should know where he was going. He should know straight away, July 7th, where I'm going. Gyökeres has got till Friday, hasn't he, apparently, to return to Sporting. If he does, that's if Arsenal. But, Arsenal couldn't get the Cesko deal over the line. Now, I assumed the Gyökeres money and Cesko money was very, very similar. So I find that quite fascinating that all of a sudden Cesko's not, and that's going to have a knock-on effect, by the way. Whatever they pay for Gyökeres is going to have a real knock-on effect on the Etatike price for sure. It's just getting dumb again, the transfer market. It really is. It's for serious businessmen, they don't half act like children.
I think the other thing with it, Gyökeres potentially joining Arsenal is for Arteta, because he would have preferred Sesko, wouldn't he? And if we're not
They're two different players. They're two different types of players, John.
Exactly. And I think it's because there's been talk Arsenal will look to Arteta will still use Havertz in the false nine. Yeah. So what's he going to do with Gyökeres? So he's going to have to adapt his style a little bit to accommodate him, or is he not going to be starting every game for Arsenal? That's probably a big call from them.
Well, Cesko plays, he comes in, he cuts in a lot from the left, doesn't he? He plays as a wide kind of left 10 or in inverted 10. I've never seen him go directly through the middle, so I don't know.
Leipzig tend to play with a 2 up front. I think Openda and Sesko kind of work together a little bit in tandem.
Mm. Yeah, but we looked at Cesko's heat map, and it looks like he like to drop down and be the link up for the striker. Not, his heat map is not entirely green in front of a goal inside the 18-yard box. So, but heat maps can be deceitful because it depends on the manager's tactics in the beginning. But is Cesko an option, Stu? Do you think we should try to go for him right now?
No, not for me. I've never rated him. Never rated him. No, he's not for me at all. I just don't like him as a player. I don't think he fits Amorim's system. I don't think he's not a Manchester United player for me. I'm not saying Ollie Watkins is or anything like that, but Cesko for me, I think he's way overrated. If I'm being honest with you, Cesko.
Okay, I will do a quick round around the panel. If you guys could choose of the options left in the striker position, who would you go for, Johnny?
Probably Ollie Watkins, because he's proven. I think he's probably the biggest. I think he's not the best forward available, but he is probably the least risk one, I guess.
He's 29, becoming 30 in September. But, he has the experience. He knows the Premier League really well. He has a good goal-scoring record for the last 3 seasons, I believe. And, he could be a stopgap option for us waiting for maybe another striker coming through next season. Or
someone did say, I read yesterday, that Watkins is across Rashford and Watkins' career. Even though Watkins is 2 years older than Rashford has played one more game than him. So, and I don't think Watkins, he hasn't played European football for many years of his career. So does that mean he potentially has a bit longer in the tank, maybe?
Yeah.
Potentially,
yeah. Sean, who would you pick?
What was the price on Watkins? Would I see like 60 million? Was that what people were talking about?
Probably around 50, 60.
I don't know if I would pay that for a 29-year-old. It's got. I mean, if you're looking for just goals, you want goals. For me, it's got to be Osimhen. I mean, I don't think we're going to be breaking our wage structure. I think that it would honestly be no different than what we were prepared to pay Gyökeres on a weekly basis. Now, whether or not that's higher than people, I mean, that's up for debate. But I think if you're looking for a goal scorer and if you want someone in that top tier right now, it has to be Osimhen.
Yeah. Stu, do I even bother asking you? Well,
no, I would have gone Osimhen anyway.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is you've got to look at the way that other clubs are managing their business right now. Arsenal have done another brilliant bit of business with Tomiyasu. On your bike, son. You've been injured for 14 months or whatever. You gone. No fucking about. We'll pay up your contract, or we'll do this, we'll do that, and you're gone. Frees up direct money then for Osimhen straight away. These 5-6 million quid directly off their wage bill immediately. Stuff like this all adds up. Arsenal doing some serious, very, very clever business. Very clever business. Zubimendi's in today. They've leaked Gyökeres, or somebody's leaked Gyökeres today. I'm guessing it's Arsenal. Something is really happening with these other clubs. We know exactly what Chelsea are doing. We know exactly what Liverpool are doing and exactly what City are doing.
Do Chelsea really know what they're doing, though?
Well, no. I mean, in the UK, they seem to be getting away with it. In Europe, they're not. They've been fined, etc., etc. In the UK, they seem to be getting away with it. Nobody knows why, but they do. And you've got Tottenham now will start to rumble around this week. Tottenham will start to do their business this week. So we are behind. There's no two ways about it. We should have had in 2 or 3 players that we necessarily needed straight away. And we should have dispensed with 3 or 4 players we don't need straight away, and we're not doing anything. If there was outgoings and no incomings, fair enough. We could see what we were doing. But now there's nothing. There's no incoming at this point in time. There's no outgoings. So we've got real problems. Jonathan David, as you rightly said, Sean's off to Juventus. That means Vlahovic is maybe up for grabs. I think Vlahovic 2 years ago, 3 years ago, absolutely. Taking him all day long. But not now. It doesn't work for us. And this is where we are right now. We're allowing other clubs to do. Tammy Abrahams. I'm not saying we should have gone for him, but he's gone from Roma to Galatasaray or Fenerbahce, somewhere like that. He's gone to Turkey, hasn't he? He's done. Yeah. He's in and he's gone. He's ensconced. He's done. He's there. This is what's happening. Liverpool, you're going to be a bit quiet because of what happened with Diogo Jota, unfortunately. R.I.P. Diogo and his all the best to his family. So that's going to go quiet now. So we've got to kind of think about what we want from our squad of players. Because Amorim, at this point in time, will be looking over his shoulder from the kickoff against Arsenal. If we don't get stuff done this week, he's going to be looking over his shoulder. Because he's that type of manager, coach that needs players on the pitch. So it's a bit of an issue for us. So there you go.
Yeah. I saw, I think it was Danny B who mentioned Mika Biret, the Monaco striker, in the chat. We've never been linked to him, but I would say he would be a good option for us to sign. But out of the options we have right now, for me, maybe Watkins, but I don't like his age. But
we've got to go with who you can trust in front of the goal right now. Look, I agree. There's some really good strikers out there that are unproven. That we know there are. We've spoken about them, Giles, haven't we? We've done a list of 4 or 5, and we've gone through there, but they're unproven. Watkins, I guarantee us, will give us 16 to 18 goals. Absolutely. He's averaged 16 goals pretty much throughout. That's an average throughout his Premier League career. So we're going to get no problem whatsoever. We know that you're going to get 15 to 20 out of Osimhen. We know all this, but that is up for debate. You probably get 12 out of Jared Bowen if you took Bowen. You probably get 20 out of Ivan Toney if you brought him back. These are the things. These are what we've got to look at. Is Højlund going to give us 20 goals next season? He'll be a different player with Keane and Abimo. They'll get a bit more out of him. But are you guaranteed? With the players we've spoken about, those 3 players, they guarantee you 15 to 20, anything from 15 to 20 goals. And Bumo's was going to give you, 15. Anything from 12 to 15. Cunha, 8 to 11. Bruno, 11 to 15. If you get a top-line striker who guarantees you 15 to 20 goals, it's a whole different ballgame. A whole outlook of your team and your position is a whole different ballgame. So it is absolutely mission critical we get that one player that can stick the ball in the back of the net, whoever it may be.
And I think also, but if you look at Cunha, get Mbeumo in, so if you get Watkins between them, they could get 50 goals between them next season.
Potentially.
Potentially. You add in Bruno, 10 to 15, Zirkzee, 5, 6, and then, some central halves might get 5, 10 goals between them.
Again, we need our centre halves to score. We need our centre halves to think between 5 and 8 goals.
So it could be, if you look at points, we tend to average number of points compared to the number of goals you score. If you look at our average over the last couple of seasons, the number of points we've won has been around the number of goals we scored. So to get into Europe, you're probably going to need to score a bit over 60 goals, for example.
Yeah.
To get in the Champions League, you'll probably have to score a bit over 70 goals.
Yeah, you'll need more.
If you have 3 players who get you 50 and the rest of the team contribute 25 between them, that could get you in the Champions League. These are the fine margins you've got to look at, I think.
100%. I just want to say we are on 37 likes, people, 154 watching on X and YouTube, 75 on YouTube right now. So a lot of you haven't taken the time to smash the like. So do us a favor and smash the like. You know, the likes is so valuable for us YouTubers, and it helps out, you know, for the algorithms to push out the channel. So please do us a favor, smash the like spike, everybody. But I just want to say, when it comes to the striker debate, we don't know who will come in, but now it feels like Ineos never planned for bringing in a striker in the first place. You know, did we really wanted to go for Gyökeres or the lap, or did we just like put out some feelers to check the price and because right now, I feel like maybe we are just going to stick with Rasmus Højlund. Maybe bring in a striker like Dominic Calvert-Lewin or someone on free, Jamie Vardy or whoever can come in to teach him the ropes of the game. And you know, that's my biggest fear. I don't want to see another season with Rasmatas on top, stinking out the place. I don't know. Sean, how do you feel about that?
He should never been our first striker to begin with, and it wasn't really the plan. But it is what it is now. I think his confidence is completely shot. I don't think we've helped him as much as we probably could. But it is, at the end of the day, you can't excuse just the decline. I mean, his performances have completely fallen off a cliff, and so a big part of me feels like damage is done with Rasmus and his United's career, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the fans not maybe just kind of giving up on him, which is fine. It is what it is. I mean, people who watch my channel know that I've defended Højlund to the hill up until the last few months of the season because I just couldn't excuse a lot of what I was seeing. But we still have Zirkzee kicking around, and I don't know what's going on with Cheeto either. Zirkzee, you know, is technically a striker despite being a 9.5 according to him. So there are options. But like you say, I worry that are they going to be enough, because they weren't enough last season. So
yeah. Anyone else want to talk about Højlund?
Yeah, I think Højlund is damaged goods. That said, I do think he's potentially a player. If he was to become the substitute, it might work then, maybe. You know, if you were to bring up Watkins, because typically Højlund tends to do better when he comes off the bench, typically. So if he was the backup striker as opposed to the main forward, then he might contribute 10 goals, for example. But it could be damaged because, according to Laurie Whitwell, it's like he'll leave anyway. So I think we probably will get a striker in before the end of the window.
Yeah. Stu, Ineos, you know, Berala said a couple of weeks ago they have planned for this transfer window for months. But it doesn't look like it. No place is out. Only one place signed. And the preseason starts tomorrow.
Yeah, it was an interesting statement, a statement that really surprised me because, you know, I've got on record as saying this on more than one occasion. You know, any club worth its salt is already dealt with its due diligence around October time. You know, when Amorim came in, he would have said to the guys, when I come in, this is what I want, this is who I want, and I want them in for the beginning of July. We know all this because it isn't rocket science. You see, the thing about football is, and it just isn't rocket science. The thing about wanting to buy something, it isn't rocket science. And so you don't go backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. As a board of directors, and you know, we do this in our business, we look at the top line price you want to pay. So you get the quoted price and you look at that top line price and you make a decision. So you know whether that top line price is achievable or it isn't, even before you start the negotiation process. And then you have a 3-stage period of negotiation. You go in with some stupid price, which you know is going to get knocked back. But you do it because, and everybody knows you're going to do it. But then you start to get a little bit serious and you do your very, very best to stay under your top line price. But ultimately, if Brentford have said to Manchester United through negotiation period 1, 2, and 3, all this bullshit about oh, United are preparing a third bid. It's absolute horseshit. It really is. You're either in the stable with the horse, or you're out the stable looking in. It's as simple as that. It really is when it comes to negotiating. And Beno is a very, very good player, but you're not going to really be tangled up with image rights with him. You're not dealing with a Ronaldo or a Haaland, Jude Bellingham, JB Bellingham, whatever. You're not going to have real massive image right issues with him. So that part should take care of itself. So if Brentford are looking for a huge guarantee up front, when you do your due diligence, that's what you need to know. You need to know all the parameters of the deal before you go back and then start making these. So this is the problem. People say, well, how can City do this, do that, do that? They already know what they're going up against, and they make a decision at board level what they're willing to go to, and that's it. And that's basically how it goes. With Chelsea, they don't give a fuck. They'll just pay whatever. Nobody cares. Chelsea don't care. Really?
They'll just sell another hotel and they'll be all right.
Yeah. We'll just pay you on that. But all other clubs, look, Liverpool negotiated a €126 million deal. Okay, with Verts, but they knew where they were the ballpark they had to be to close the business. So they went in with a 106 feeler. That's what you do, and they've gone in. So,
Liverpool are also 10 years into their whole project, which when you get to the 9-10 year mark, that's when you do see those cherry on top signings like a Florian Wirtz kind of a thing.
Didn't spend any money last season. Won the league quite comfortably, really, in the end. And have now looked at strengthening, and they're strengthened in the right areas. Frimpong's a good deal. Alexander-Arnold, they knew he was going to Real Madrid 12 months ago. It's the worst kept secret in football, but everybody knew he was going to Real Madrid. It's not rocket science. Everyone was surprised that Real Madrid decided to pay 10 million to get him out for the World Club Cup. But that's quite interesting. That's how a professional football club operates. Mm-hmm. We want you in because by the time we get back from the World Club Cup, we're going to have 2-3 weeks off. You're going to be training by yourself. We need you in there. So this is the thing. Exactly the same with City, and exactly the same with Chelsea. Chelsea were doing deals during the World Club Cup, guys. They've done a lot of their due diligence, laid the groundwork way, way, way before the World Club Cup, but they're still doing deals within that period. We just seem to be very, very lazy or brainless at our boards. I can't quite work out what it is, but you can't. The days of being lethargic, they're over. They're gone. They're completely finished.
But you remember Sir Jim was giving those interviews and he was telling everybody, we'd rather walk to the right decision than run to the wrong decision. And
he did. I
just wonder where the line is between, you're allowed to run to the right decision too. You're allowed to. If you have something is right, you're allowed to make that deal quickly. It is a bit frustrating.
Well, it's what didn't Barada say something similar last month about sometimes it's worth taking longer of a deal as long as you get the right price or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's like it's a big summer and you're going. It's a quote last week's screenshot. Jarvis snail pace, but it's not good luck.
I feel that Man United maybe are stalling on this Mbeumo thing because we don't have a lot of money, and I think, as someone mentioned in the chat, that it all depends. The Mbeumo deal depends on getting Rashford out. As soon as we know that we can either get Rashford or Sancho out, I think we will bring in Mbeumo. But in another way, it also gives the clubs an excuse to hold out on signing new players because we're still working on the Mbeumo deal.
Yeah, so, Jarvis, I don't buy that because business.
We already made bids, right?
Yeah.
Business 101 is, hold on, if we haven't got the money and we've got to get these players out, you focus on getting rid of the players. You line everyone up, Cunha, Mbeumo, whoever. You line them up.
Yeah.
We have got to get rid of these before you come in. We're going to do the deal, and then you get rid because where's the business sense, guys, on spending and then trying to get rid? If we are desperate to get rid of these 5 guys, they've got to go first. that it's just business 101. It's not rocket science. This is what annoys me. Like it's so.
The other thing is that it's a new financial year. There's nothing to stop us. Like if we could spend 100 million, on 2 players in this month without letting anyone go. So long as you sell those players within, the remaining time that you have. So it's like the new financial year. It goes right up to the end of June, doesn't it? So even though you can still bring players in, so long as you sell the players within, later on kind of thing. So, I just think we've only got 60 million to spend. For example, well, you can spend 100 million and then sell someone in a month's time for 40 to make up the difference, So.
It's hard to sell them too when they're on, 200K a week, 300K a week, 320K a week, whatever you want to say. We shoot ourselves in the foot with the contracts that we give to these players. I don't know what we're thinking.
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest problem maybe I've seen for a lot of years. Roshmano just put this in the chat. He said some updates, Jarvis, when ready. So
Yes.
we're talking about the players out, and I think this is something explosive because Roshmano is saying his Twitter account saying Sancho has given his yes to Juventus. It's
Good.
from Marco Giordano. It's an Italian journalist. I think he's based in Napoli. That states this. So it's good to see that something actually going on with the Sancho deal, and there's more on the Sancho deal. It's this one. He said that Jadon Sancho is getting closer to Juventus from Manchester United. Positive talks and expected a direct negotiation this week to try to reach a deal.
Good news.
So finally something is happening. I think they have agreed on the 25 million. It was always the wages from Sancho, but if he agrees now, we weren't allowed to come back to preseason training. And I think he took the hint from Man United, get the deal done. It's up to you if you want to play football. Stu?
Yeah, which is good news actually. But didn't our we had an Italian journalist on in the comments last week from Sky Italia, and he mentioned that the deal was almost pretty much done in principle, hasn't he? So that's great news because that's got it over the line. I did see something from a friend of the show, Graham Bailey, as well, who also thought the deal was done. It would be done this week. I think Sancho's looked at it. You're quite right, Jarvis. He's been told, whatever, mate, you're gone. And I think it's quite interesting now that he's probably thought to himself, I'm screwed now for wages. I'm not going to get what I want. I'm just going to have to move and leave. So it's great news, Alice. Great news. It is.
25 million, will it help us when it comes to the FFP, or is it just liquidity that's the biggest problem?
Do you know what, Jarvis? I think we should stick 2 fingers up to FFP. Chelsea do, and they'll say, we'll deal with it when we want. Villa have done it, we'll deal with it when we want. City have done it, and they're still whatever. I think we should just stick 2 fingers up. If Chelsea had just been fined by UEFA, what was it? Something stupid.
I think, yeah, because
I read 60 million euros or something.
I read something about them.
Tiny, isn't it?
It's 30 plus 40, I believe, and 40 if they don't fix their problems.
Suspended, isn't it? 40 suspended. So it's a 30 million fine. So, chances are, Jarvis, they knew they were getting that fine and they just added it onto their balance sheet somewhere.
Maybe that's why they're trying to get rid of Madueke.
Yeah.
Madueke he's no mug. He's no mug of a footballer. He's a decent footballer. The Nkunku one I find more interesting.
They completely was a wash with Mudryk too. That was money they'll never see again for Mudryk.
Don't ever see that. No, Mudryk's laughing all the way to the bank, isn't he? I mean, he's crying.
Well, they said something about Mudryk that he could be banned for 4 years.
Yeah,
and he'll still have 2 years left on his contract.
Of his Chelsea contract, that's absolutely superb. That is by Mudryk. I mean, Mudryk's there going, well, I don't care.
Yeah, that was a lot to spend for a kid who had barely 24 first-team appearances in his whole career.
Contract. He signed a 9-year contract, didn't he? He signed a massive contract, Mudryk. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it, but we mentioned the thing when it comes to Chelsea and Aston Villa. You know, they're getting fined from UEFA because they have broken the financial fair play rules of UEFA.
I did hear, I don't know how true this is, that they might not be able to register new signings in European competition unless they sell players which are worth more than the players they're bringing in. Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
they'll easily do that. They'll easily do that.
So,
Yeah.
but they have to raise more money than they pay out, though.
But like you say, they'll do something. They'll circumvent it some way. It's what venture capitalists do.
Yeah,
I think it all comes down to that UEFA didn't approve of the. We remember when Aston Villa and Chelsea swapped players last season.
Yeah.
They didn't write it off good in the books, basically. So if I had an old bike I wanted to sell from a garage sale, and Stu had an old TV, that was worth £50 each, and I offered Stu £5,000 for the old TV, and you offered me £5,000 for the old bike. Suddenly we have no extra values, but we have received 5,000 extra.
And if we were clever businessmen, we'd be like, "Hey Villa, how much for Watkins?"
Yeah,
but we're not.
It really is. It's quite comical more than anything. It really is when you're dealing with millions.
But it's about finding the loopholes, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Clubs like Forest and Newcastle, that's exactly what Forest and Newcastle did with Anderson and Vlachodimos. Vlachodimos for what, 20 something? He's worth like 5, and that's how they got around it. And it just seems like we're just doing it's like I said on my channel today, it was like giving an iPad to my grandmother. She's going to do it. She's going to play solitaire. She's not going to use it for anything else. We have a very basic way of going about our transfer business. We don't think creatively. We don't think outside the box. We rarely use loans. We rarely look at the free agents that are coming up and maybe get those deals done in January the year prior. It's so basic. It's embarrassing.
It is. And I totally agree with it. 100% agree with what you just said. Hey, Mark, welcome. Good lad.
Mark is become a member. He's been a member for 1 month, and using his free membership chat to come in and say 25 million is the first payment of 125 million pounds over 5 years is the best way to look at it.
Yeah.
We were never getting our money back for Sancho or Anthony. It's just
I think if we get 25 million for Sancho, I think his amortization is around 14 million. So we've got an extra 10 million to spend if you look at it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, look, Betis are trying to strong arm us, aren't they? I've got to the stage where strong arm us then. If you want to go, Anthony, we're going to take 150 grand or whatever a week off our books. Just go. We'll take 20 million. It's bullshit, and we shouldn't be taking 20 million for Anthony. We should be taking 50 million for him. We know that.
I don't know why these players aren't pushing their agents harder to get there's only so much we can do as a club to get them out the door other than tell them you're not welcome anymore. Like it's their agent's job to get them their moves.
I think 20 million. If we get 20 million or 25 million, and the agent's looking at only 2.5 million, he starts crying, doesn't he?
I think the decision for some of those players, they're not going back to training. A few of them aren't happy because they didn't tell the club they wanted to leave. And now all of a sudden we're like, now they're panicking.
Yeah, they are panicking, and maybe we'll push it into. I saw something laughable yesterday that Deco and Hansi Flick thought, we've got to go for Rashford. Do me a favour. Come on.
He won't start at Barcelona.
No, of course he won't. Rashford needs to lower his aspirations. Probably he's better off going to Munich, taking a massive wage cut and playing regular. And trying.
He should have stayed at Villa. He would have started. He would have been scoring. He probably had the best shot. I mean, they
rejected him. They rejected him.
Oh, they didn't. Because they didn't want to pay the money.
No, they rejected the deal. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what Munich do after Musiala's injury.
I know. I mean, Munich have got, they need players. I think Sane's left, hasn't he? So, if I was Rashford, that's where I'd be looking at. I'd take a massive wage cut. I'd say, I'll come to you for 100 grand a week. please sign me.
I mean, it was hilarious. Barcelona saying because what happened with Nico Williams, Romano says they're going to go for Luis Diaz. Again, like Liverpool.
Can't get him out of Liverpool, apparently.
Like Liverpool going to sell another one their forwards after what's just happened.
They can't get it. They couldn't get him out of Liverpool anyway, I heard. But Nico Williams, that's another. No, that was a strange bit of business, that was. Bilbao, he signed a 9-year contract, didn't he, with Bilbao?
I think he has a €95 million release clause.
9-year contract, though, something like that, wasn't it? Or 8 years. Or it was a huge contract.
2035.
Yeah, it was huge. So that's what I would be doing if I was Rashford. Anthony, I really would. I'd take as if Betis can only afford 20 mil, which we know they can afford more. If that's all they're putting on the table, take the fucking deal. Just get him gone. Take the deal. You know, Sancho, great piece of business for Juve. If Sancho performs, if he performs, great bit of business, great for us. It looks like Greenwood it is going to Saudi Arabia, doesn't it? It's pretty much nailed on that.
Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, 60 million.
Yes.
That's
we get how much on
that? We get 30 million on that. We get a 30 million windfall.
And then Alanga could be going to Newcastle.
Nice.
That could help.
I think Alanga ends up at Newcastle for sure.
And I think also, what's his name? Benfica. Did we sell
Alvaro?
Alvaro, he'll probably go.
Yeah.
So this came out today that Man United could be set to receive 30 million as Saudi Arabian side Al Ahly is prepared to pay 60 million pounds and offer to sign Mason Greenwood. And we have a 50% sell-on clause, so that will effectively give us 30 million. Or is it how it works? Is
Well, I'm not
over
sure.
the
I think, I'm wondering whether it's 50.
What are we selling for?
I think it's 50% on top of the profit.
What are we selling for?
Yeah, so
a bit over 30 million, I think.
So we get 15 then, maybe.
Around that.
We're still
I think
good.
you're right.
15 million is still great. Still good money.
And we could get, I don't know, 7-8 million for Fernandez. So that's 23 million extra money we can.
Maybe 8 million for Alanga.
So that'll pay Casemiro's wages for the next season. Awesome.
We could make 30 million on those sales, and you could spend up to 150 million.
Yeah,
with that money.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, let's talk about something more positive, because we have been linked to a goalkeeper, Botafogo goalkeeper John Victor. I don't know if you saw this. This came out today. Botafogo goalkeeper John Victor, who has a 5.8 million release clause in his contract. I have to be honest, I don't know much about this guy, but I heard some rumors that Sean had some pointers when it comes to this John, the Botafogo goalkeeper.
I mean, we spoke about this a couple days ago on the channel. To me, this screams backup keeper. I do think Bayindir is out the door at some point, and I do worry that we're going to be stuck with Onana for another season at least, which I did not want. That was one of my only deal breakers going into the summer, was Onana has to go. It doesn't look like that's happening, but so yeah, John, he's 29, obviously playing for Botafogo, but that low release clause, it does, again, it screams backup keeper to me. We'll see if he can come in. I would still like to keep VTech around, but I don't know if that, we just don't seem to like our young goalkeepers at United. But Victor's a little different than Onana, almost exact opposite in terms of the way he plays. He's definitely a sweeper. A lot of his his defensive actions are pretty high in terms of percentiles. He does have a really good save percentage, though. I think it's like 80%, which is very, very good. And then clean sheets are good as well. But it's about the extent that I have.
Yeah, if you look at it, it's actually 81.1% when it comes to save percentage. So it's not too bad. And he's a tall guy, 6'3.5". 29 years of age. That's not too bad for a goalkeeper. If you look at its stats, save percentage, that's a good thing. Clean sheet percent, that's high. Yeah. All of the others are more than average, I would say. So, yeah, he looks like a decent guy, but do we need a backup goalkeeper? Isn't it Onana we need to replace?
Yeah, it is. But I think Binder's probably gone because he's not playing either. So I think that you need 3 keepers in the squad just for warm-ups and practice and stuff. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
I would definitely replace Onana like in a heartbeat. I gave up on him. I was at the Galatasaray match for Champions League, and I had just a perfect view of that penalty that we conceded with Casemiro and Onana, and the tangible, the physiological just defeatedness mindset from the crowd that night. You could feel it in that moment. I think that's where a lot of people just gave up on Onana. He's awful. He's awful.
Yeah, preaching to the choir. I think there's no one here on this panel who will defend Onana and his calamity. You know, goals, errors leading to goals is super high. I think he has had, is it 9 over the last 2 seasons or something?
So bad.
Yeah. It's terrible, and you know that's not counting all the calamity. You know, throwing yourself the wrong way or things that not actually leading as errors leading to goal, but. He's a terrible goalkeeper. I agree, and we need just to replace him as soon as possible. But you know, we are in a stage where we don't have any money. We lost out on the Europa League final. We lost out on Champions League next season. That's 100 million just straight out right there and then. And I feel like Amorim and you know the Sporting who is it, Wilcox and Berarda, they don't want to prioritize that kind of money this season. I think that's the biggest problem. I think they are aware of the problem. We all are. You know, they can't be blind.
It's ridiculous because the points he's gonna cost us are to me that's gonna end up costing us financially more than the cost to replace him. In my opinion, I think the errors that he's literally cost us matches could have meant the difference between a couple more places higher up the table, which. Financially is a difference of a few million. I don't know. I mean, if I talk more about it, I'm just going to get mad because this guy does my head in every time I watch him play. But
Wendell Peterson comes in and say, have you guys noticed that the club is in trouble? There's no ambition and our board is incompetent, clueless owners, and there's no hiding. This club is rotten to its foundations. Stu, yeah, I think we all follow United tight enough to understand that's probably the.
I think there's quite a large element of sense attached to that statement. Yeah, for sure. We look, you know, with the John Victor guy. I've got to be honest. I'm so underwhelmed by that. It's not even worth me chatting about because it completely underwhelms me. I agree with you. I don't think they ever even considered budgeting for a new goalkeeper. When they were looking at the squad, there's no way, and it's just gone from bad to worse for Onana, unless a completely different character walks to the dressing room. Walks into the dressing room on Monday, and we have a different player, rather like the attitude of Højlund. We're going to be in real trouble. Next season, he cost us 12 to 15 points, I think, and cup matches. Throughout last season. I think he's going to do the same again this season. When you look at the goalkeepers that we have had, Schmeichel was a good 15% positive. Van der Sar was a 15% positive. 90% of De Gea's career was a 15-point positive. All right, he had a few blockers towards the end of his career at United, but he was at least 15 points a season. And this is a big issue for us. Our goal difference will always be plus for Schmeichel, Van der Sar, Raymond van der Houw even, crikey, would be better than Onana right now. It's just very, very difficult. So we've got massive problems in our squads. We've got massive problems in our first team. We've got massive problems in our spine. And so if we don't get what we want, I can't see how Amorim survives. I think he's gone at Christmas, and that's an absolute travesty. It's another manager that we're potentially going to be changing, and then another load of players that don't fit the manager's system, and we've got to start again. You've got to draw the line somewhere, and
you have to think that I'm hoping maybe that they're just looking. They're not as aggressive because financially, but I think they are treating this almost like an actual rebuild, which is going to take a little bit of time. And Amorim was their guy. I don't know how quickly it would have to be catastrophic, in my opinion, for them to get rid of Amorim that soon. I just with the way that we're behaving so far in the transfer window, right? Am I the only one who thinks that?
I don't think it could be them man will. I mean, I suppose the question is, where do you think we would have to be in order for them to get rid of him? I suppose is the question. Let's say if we're mid-table in October, will they get rid of him then? Or by Christmas, I don't know. But he is their man. They chose him. So I'm really not sure. So we have to show improvement at the start. I think not having Europe will mean that we might start slowly, but we might get better as the season goes on. I think that's probably what they're banking on.
I don't think we can afford to start slowly, John. I think we've got to
I agree, but
we've got to turn the Gunners over first match of the season.
Ineos have to move quicker in the market. Then we've got one player in before preseason.
Well, it is the thing, Stu. In those big games, they're not the games. Amorim has done reasonably okay in those kind of games. It's more your Fulhams, your Brentfords, your other teams. That's where we need to see the real improvement. We need to start winning more of those games.
You go into the first match as title contenders. By match 4, you can't afford to be off the pace. This is the thing. This is where people say, and I hear all the time fans say, "Oh, I want to avoid this team in the competition. Oh, we got a really bad start." You got to play everybody at some point. Get it done. Get it gone. Get it done. First quarter of the season. Get it out the way, and then see where you are. If you've got 15 points, and we've got some, a good run of games, then fine. You've got a base. We don't start the season with a base. You have to start the season with a base. Once you've done that, and you can then start picking up the points against the likes of Brentford, Bournemouth, because then they're going to have Peter Pan seasons again. I think they'll do quite well. These teams. Tottenham will be a much different side, completely different side under what's his name? Frank, yeah,
Frank, yeah.
We can't afford to dick about. We've got to go in. You got to turn the Gunners over. You got to, don't roll over and have your belly tickle their fucking belly, and then move on to game 2, move on to game 3, move on to game 4 and game 5. See where you are after 6 games, and then start again. And that's how you've got to chop the season up.
Such a big task too, because our players are just so weak mentally and physically. And how many matches did we completely just shrink from that midfield battle just because we just didn't have the mentality or the physicality or the legs? And those Brentfords, those Fulhams, those are those matches, the Newcastles and everything. That midfield killed us.
100%.
But to be honest, that's down to the players as well.
Yeah, it is.
These players, they've got to take the responsibility themselves. They don't
have it here. They don't have it here.
No, they don't. They don't.
I want to say, hey, big up to Trev Wade. When it comes to Man United, big up Trev. When it comes to Man United, we know that we have been looking out for a midfielder, Richard Rios. We have been linked to him. Douglas Luiz, Juventus, even Ndidi on a 5 million transfer. So I agree when you talk about the midfield, we need to strengthen, and it will be difficult. And also just to finish off on the Amorim thing, I don't want to be too negative also when it comes to Amorim, but I think there's a okay. Let's look at it. Would you consider it a bigger chance that Amorim get the sack next season, or that everything goes well and we will fight for top 5, top 6? What will be the...
Neither.
I think it's 50-50. I do expect us to be a bit better with no Europe, but
you gotta look at it, John. The players. They've been with Amorim since December last season, and we ended up 15th. We had the worst league form than almost all the other teams, other than the 3 relegation team. Haven't it been for Ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy, we would probably be relegated. And as a professional footballer, do you still believe in your gaffer after a dreadful season like that? And now we have preseason starting tomorrow. We have 1 player in. It doesn't look like we are going to go out firing in the first game. We'll probably need at least a month before we start playing at our best.
Yeah,
so I think there's a fire burning underneath Amorim's feet at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's. But is there also the possibility where Amorim walks as well? Because that has been reported as well. Is there a point? Is it more likely to get sacked? Is there a possibility he could walk as well if things get bad?
I think we beat Arsenal first game of the season, no problem.
I think we'll get a good result.
The thing about this is that, and we all play football, so everybody knows this. You do go in with a different mindset, and Amorim will have a completely different mindset to how it was when he came through the door partway through the season. It'll be a completely different mindset. There'll be different pre-season methods. There'll be different ways of measuring weight, sugar, fats, speed. There'll be a variety of different ways that these guys won't be used to that Amorim will adopt. He's never been able to do that, and he won't have the time.
This is his first preseason too with United. Exactly. He didn't get one last season.
Exactly. The players themselves will know, categorically that just can't happen again, and it can't. I still think we finished on 66 points. Whether that gets us top 8 or top 5, top 6, I don't know, but I think that's where we'll be. And I'll tell you something for nothing as well. When a player comes through the door like Cunha, he's a bit of a nasty piece of work. He's got an attitude. He's got an ego. There are certain players he won't put up with. You dicking about will no longer happen. It won't happen, I don't think, under Amorim this year. If you're not interested in playing football, like Garnacho, fuck off. Like Sancho, fuck off. Like Rashford, fuck off. And if that's the case, and if I'm going to stick my neck on the line, on the block, you've got to do it. You have to do it. The mighty Tipton Town Jarvis, we won 3-2 today. Our first friendly, by the way.
Yes.
We played a team 2 leagues ahead above us. We had a couple of new players. I was woeful, by the way. I was abysmal. There's no 2 ways about it. I think I had 2 left feet. I think I left my right foot at home because I was absolutely abysmal. But we actually won, and we did that not by playing particularly well, but by fucking determination. Just a little bit of determination goes a long, long way, and the likes of Cunha will bring that because he's yes, he'll get sent off, he will, and we all know that. But we need that bite, So for me, I think we turn Arsenal over 2-1. I really, Gyökeres or not. I think he'll fold Gyökeres on his debut for Arsenal, and I think we beat them 2-1. And then we just take a game as it comes. We might even do City. I'm not really sure City. City can get it. You can still get it City at the back. I think you'll get it Arsenal at the back. Mm-hmm. Liverpool, I don't think we'll get anything out of. I think we'll beat Chelsea. I think we'll do okay. We'll do better than we think. I really do.
I think we'll. I think we'll probably start off reasonably well. We might have a bit of a blip come October, maybe, and then we'll see. But I think, I think Arsenal, I can see us getting a good result. And in fairness, Amorim did quite well against Arsenal last season, beat them in the cup. We were the best team at Old Trafford and we drew 1-1. So, we could easily start. We're hoping for a bit of 1989, aren't we, Stu?
We are. Look, if you go back, and I know it's a completely different side, but in the early 90s, I think in, was it 92, 93, John? We lost our first 3 games.
With the first Premier League season, yeah.
Yeah, we lost our first 3 games, and we end up winning it. It's a completely different side. But there's nothing to say that, you might get a bit of. I mean, Chelsea still haven't finished the World Club Cup yet. You know, they're not going to finish the World Club Cup till next. Is it Sunday? Well, I don't know when the final
is. I think they're playing the semi-final on Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday, I think, and then the
finals on next weekend. So that's 2 weeks into July. The players have got to have a rest, so they're going to be on a really tight turnaround. Chelsea are. They've got a big squad. They've got a lot of new players. You know, you've got Liverpool. You've got Vert's got to settle in. Who knows? You know, Gyökeres might be hitting the top of the Emirates Stadium, not the goals. We don't know. It's going to be an interesting. We've just got to believe, guys. You know, every time I start a new season, I believe we can go. We can do something. We finished third last year, Jarvis. We need to win it. Third is unacceptable for the mighty Tipton Town. We've got to win it. But bear in mind, 3 o'clock or whenever it is we kick off on the 14th of August or whatever date it is, we're in a title race. You're always in the title race, your first game of the season, always. And that's how it should be. Your mindset has to be that. It can't be, you know, if we lose our first 4 games, we're in trouble. It can't be that way. It's got to be, we're going to go, we're going to turn over Arsenal, we're going to laugh at Gyökeres, we'll wave to him as he walks off the pitch with his head in his hands because he's fucked up on his debut. And then we're going to kick the shit out of Mamouche because I hate him. Rodri's got problems. Rodri's not sure if he's fit, is he?
Yeah, but I did watch that game, the Al Hilal game, because he came on and then he went off. And like you say, Stu, their back line. I mean, the moment of time, I mean, they scored 4 Al Hilal, but they could easily have 6 or 7. The way, just that simple ball over the top. It's that might be, it will be City's vulnerability. So
I think they'll have problems. I think Liverpool are the team to beat. No 2 ways about it.
Yeah, really I agree. Depends how they react to what's just happened, but I think they're probably the best team at the moment.
I think they're team to beat. I think City finish top 4. I'm not so sure on Arsenal. I think Chelsea might be the dark horses, though, eventually when they get kind of up to speed.
Yeah, they're not finished in this transfer window. They will sign a lot of players, we know.
When they get up to speed.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's all about, you know, it's not about confidence. It's about that fucking, will to win. If you lose that will to win, you take that pitch and you don't recognise when you've been shite. We don't recognise when you can't give the ball away. So, you're giving the ball away a couple of times. Today, by Jarvis, I had a little snail's pace of a ball come to me, and I'm watching the ball come. And I'm looking at where I'm heading. Yeah, and the next thing I know, the ball's bobbled over my foot because I wasn't concentrating on what I was doing. And that can happen in football at any level, at any player. And I'm looking at it. I'm watching it go over the. Go over the touchline. I'm thinking, and everyone's going, you toss it, and all that, and they're right. They're absolutely right. And I'm thinking, right, okay, get your fucking head on. Do something.
And what you're talking about is, there's the resilience you were talking about. 4 games in, if we're down, like, we have to realize we're still in it. There's a complete lack of resilience from these United players, which is why I'm not as optimistic as you are, because I'm basing my feelings on what I've seen from this squad of players.
I'm rightly so. I get that.
Like, I get we concede a goal, heads drop. Rasmus doesn't get the ball. He freaks out at Dalot, makes a completely different run the next play rather than just sticking to what he's supposed to be doing. Garnacho loses the ball in the opposition box, sits on his ass while the opposition gets a counterattack. There's zero resilience from this squad, and that's what I say. Like, it's all up. It's a mentality thing, and you can even in a micro. If you look at set pieces, defending set pieces, nobody attacks the ball. Nobody closes down the player on the edge of the box with the ball. No one's just showing that little extra bit of mentality in those moments, and there's too many players in the squad that have that struggle, and that's what's killing us.
It is, and yet you're talking about elite footballers.
Yeah,
you were talking about seasoned internationals. And it's completely unacceptable. And your foot bubble, the ball bubbles over your foot. Forget it. Put it to the back of you. As soon as you get the ball next time, just run a 2-yard pass. You don't give the ball away, then, do you? Then you run to a 5-yard pass, a 10-yard pass, a 20-yard pass.
Exactly.
You run yourself back into the game. Our players don't do that. We make a mistake. We're like, we start panicking. We don't get over it quickly. We don't argue with each other. We're not aggressive with each other. It's not good enough. And me and Jarvis have been talking about it for a long, long time, haven't we, John? A long, long time. And I don't like it. It winds me up. A lot of the fans don't like Roy Keane. He does it because, he's doing it for clicks and views and that. He's actually doing it because he sat in a dressing room where there was a lot of similar type players. They had similar attitudes to him. If you're not putting the work in, or you're not doing this, or you're not doing that, they get angry. They get frustrated. And I want to see us do that. The likes of Cunha, he won't accept mediocrity. And so he shouldn't. And somebody was right, by the way. I think somebody put a comment, I did see it. Cunha's coming from a relegation threatened team. He was. But didn't Wolves finish above us in the end?
No, we
just finished above Wolves. It was such a goal on the last day, wasn't it? So
I agree.
Yeah, but ultimately, you want to see that kind of attitude walk through the door, and it should give you a lift. If you fail to get a lift from Cunha walking through your door, then just go somewhere else. Don't be at Manchester United, because we don't want you there.
I think, Emblemo, Brentford have never been in a relegation battle. They are the team with the smallest. I think that have the smallest budget in the league, so they've been punching above their weight for quite a while now. And he comes from a team that haven't got the most glamorous names, but they fight for each other and everything. So he's got that fight as well, hasn't he? So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Rashmana, for the updates. I will bring them up soon. I just want to say we have a celebrity in the house. We have Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the chat. And I can't wait to join Man United and to get started.
Thank you, Dominic. We can't wait to have you. No, that's not right, is it? No.
and he also agrees with you, Stu. We say this man is talking sense. I can't wait to prove him right. I fire Man United to a league title next season. So
if Dominic Calvert-Lewin came to Manchester United and he fired us to the league title, and everyone on this panel has to eat their words, so be it. So be it. Football is a funny old game. Yeah. The fact that here we go, that's more like it.
Yeah. And by the way, the panelist is his name is Sean. His channel is United versus Everybody. Go check it out. Really good channel. I really love that channel. And we have some people saying you look like McTominay. There's some others saying that you.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Phil Jones. Well, Fergie did say Phil Jones was he in the next Duncan Edwards or something? The reincarnation.
Very good comment.
We still love you, Fergie.
Yeah. It's actually a very good comment, that is. Zimba's talking about the morale within the club is a shambles, whether we think they're good players, or I think he's asking me anyway. Mm-hmm. It is affecting them. I agree. I really do agree with you. So I'm going to call you Zimba because I don't want to butcher your first name. And I agree with you. And that's so disappointing that the morale in the club and these players can't get up for a game of football. Every one of us absolutely loves putting the boots on, having a kick about with their mates, their friends, or whatever, and it's a privilege for these guys to do it every day. For us, it's just brilliant. I still, take my Zimmer frame out and give it my best shot, and I love it. But it's a sad thing what you're saying, pal. But you are right. I do agree with you. So
yeah,
but I like the comments.
I want to talk about midfielders, as I tried to start with 10 minutes ago. We linked to Richard Rios, Douglas Luiz, and Ndidi. So what kind of profile do Amorim need? Because we know now the pivot will most likely be Ugarte and Bruno, or Casemiro and Bruno. How Amorim likes to set it up. What type of midfielder do we actually need? And do any of you know anything about Richard Rios besides the one game he played in the Club World Cup? Who want to start? John?
I mean, if you look at who we've been linked with, just like the Hackneys, the Rios, the Edersons, they all share very similar qualities. They're physical, and they're a bit press resistant. They've got a good passing range. They've got good ball progression skills, and I think that is exactly what we need in this system. I think that it's going to be less of the 4-3-3s. I'm an 8, I do this. I'm a 6, I do this, and more of like your old school 90s midfielders who just do a bit of everything. And I think that a big key is going to be physicality. Richard Rios, I mean, obviously we've been linked to him for a very long time, well over a year now, I think. And he's very similar. I'm looking at his heat map right now. Right-hand side, big red blotches inside both halves, pretty much in the middle of the pitch, which got the legs covering a lot of ground. Good numbers for tackles, top 10% for tackles. His progressive numbers, his take-ons are well above average as well. He's a very good midfielder. He's got a really good passing range too, and I think you see that from a lot of the midfielders that we've been linked with. So to me, it's I don't really need him a certain age. I don't really need a certain price. I just want the players that fit. The problem is we have a lot of midfielders at this club too. We've got 5 who've been in and around the first team for the last season or so as well. So we are a bit packed in that situation too.
Yeah. Actually, for me, I think he reminds me of a player that used to play for us a couple of years ago. It's Ander Herrera. I don't know if you've seen his heat map. I talked about it yesterday on your channel. It's not too... it's quite similar, I would say. Just going to find the right Brazilian league. Well, it's more right-sided, but if you look at here you go. Here's the heat maps compared with Ander Herrera and Richard Rios. Ander Herrera is a little bit more over the place. I see Richard Rios is more right-sided when you look at it. But what's the Brazilian league? Is it this one? Comebol? No, Paulista. This is the league. Yeah. So I don't know what you take from it.
Talking.
I'd take Rios all day long. I think Rios is a really, really talented footballer. But the thing about an 8 is that they should be more centralised anyway. And that's why you're an 8. You're not an 8 to play over on one side or the other. You're there to be centralised. And when you play a deep line 6, a 6 is a specialist in that particular position. You take a Rodri, for example. Rodri's role is to, go from left to right. He's a screener. That's what he does. Agate doesn't really screen that well, as we know. But if you've got somebody, the real upshot of this is you need somebody like Richard Rios to come in if Bruno ever gets injured. And Bruno's at a stage of his career where he's going to start to pick up injuries and he's going to start to probably miss a few games. So you need somebody to come in like a Rios. And I agree with everything that the guys have said. He's brilliant with the ball at his feet. He's got a bit of an eye for goal. And I think he's an all-round better player. For me, if you don't go for Rios, you've got to go for Ederson, as I quite rightly pointed out. I think Ederson for me is top draw. We haven't seen Douglas Luiz though, have we, in the Premier League now for 2 seasons, or at least?
No, it's only been 1 season in Juventus.
And he wasn't. He's had issues, hasn't he, in Juventus as well?
Yeah, they've barely seen him in Serie A. The guy's missed 20 games this past season.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think we can afford to take a gamble on Douglas Luiz. I think at 20 million, if you can get Rios over the line, you should do it. But you need to turn him into a more rounded midfielder rather than a focused midfielder. Yeah. That's what you need. And I know he's quite young, isn't he, Rios? I think we've got the capability to do that. And I think the Premier League will suit him okay. He looks like he's got a...
Now he's in his prime. I think he's 25.
He's 25, I think.
Well, 25. I mean, that's,
that's perfect.
That's perfect for us. But he will... But if you can make him more of a rounded 8, then you could do more with Bruno than if you've got a more rounded 8. That's the key to having somebody like Rios.
And that's been the problem, is Bruno's been the only player who can pick up the ball in deeper positions and get it up the pitch. And he's also been the only player who can play as a 10 and actually create chances. And we need, like you're saying, other players who can do a little bit more, have a few more strings to their bow in that midfield role.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, Luiz has got a decent heat map. He plays where I want. He plays between the lines, which is what he should do. He'd be a great foil, but then you can't play, as Sean says, you can't play Bruno and Douglas Luiz.
Well, I'm done with hamstring issues with players at this club. We've had our fair share of players who've hamstring injuries, and I'm done with that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, don't forget, guys, Cunha will drop deep to receive, and so will Mbeumo. They'll both drop in deep to receive the ball.
We've seen that from our 10s this season too. You've seen Garnacho and Ahmad oftentimes dropping very deep.
But you've got a lot stronger footballers in Mbeumo and Cunha, more physical, stronger. Really, really interesting to see if they do go. Look at 20 million, 25. It's a cash grab for me.
Yeah.
Just go and take it. Literally go and take it. You know what? For 5 million, and Ndidi's a cash grab as well. Go and take him. Because you can bring
I think he's
Ndidi on for 20 minutes. If it's a 0-0 game, you can bring likes of Ndidi on for 20, 25, 30 minutes max, and it could change the game. He doesn't need to change the way we're playing, but he could change the game because he drags Agati off, don't forget, a lot.
Yeah, Garte barely played those last 3 matches of the season, did not any minutes, no minutes in the final at all.
About 60, 65, no minutes in the final. Casemiro starts, for example, you bring him off. You got 20, 25, and Ndidi had completely smashed the midfield. It's for 5 million quid. He's a fucking no-brainer.
I think
he hasn't got the leg to do 90 minutes.
I do think eventually we will need someone who can, slot in between, to collect the ball from the defence to feed it forward. So, Rios, looking at that heat map, he spends a lot of his time in the attacking third. I've not seen it much at what he's like defensively. Again, he's very talented and everything. I think he is someone you can bring in potentially, but I also think we also need a midfielder who'll take that, but we haven't got that, playmaker, like a Rodriguez, someone who'll take the ball off the defence and feed it to the forward. And I think we also need a midfielder that will do that as well.
You need somebody who's going to go and break play, don't you? You need somebody who's going to stick a tackle in and break up the play.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, people don't like Ndidi. It's not a problem. They'll break up the play for you for 20 minutes. They'll stop.
Well, Rios is in top 10% for tackles per 92, so he does have a bit of off-the-ball work to him as well, which I like a lot.
We have 363 people watching at the moment. A lot of people on X. We have how many? 70, almost 80 people watching on YouTube. So if you haven't smashed the like on YouTube, people watching on X, come over to YouTube and get your comments in. But you can also leave your comments on X, as Van Vicky has done. He said, for sure, I'm really sad, but nothing can change for what happened. So what's next to Manchester United? Are we going down? About Rios, he's a young talent. We don't need Luis because we have Casemiro. For me, it's a good deal. That's a good point. We should, as long as Casemiro stays, I don't see us bringing in Douglas Luiz. Well, I like his player profile. I agree with Stu. He operates in that narrow central area of the pitch that we need for a midfielders. Danny B comes in and say no thanks to Ndidi.
Yeah, I get it.
And by the way, Ndidi is 28 years of age. I saw someone asking that question. So
don't forget, we've got Mainu, we've got Collier, Ugarte, Casemiro. Bruno is probably going to play in a deeper role with Cunha and Mbeumo too. We have to figure out what to do with guys like Mainu and Collier as well.
I don't think Mainu knows what's his best position.
Yeah.
He needs to develop his position for me. I think he'd be a bit more of a bit part player this season.
And he should be. He's only been playing first-team football for a little over a year. He didn't come in till November of the year prior as well. And he's still young. So
yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, he looks fit from what I can see. The pictures have been posted. He looks fit.
Danny, you know you're not supposed to mention Yashari while I'm on camera, man. It's gonna make me sad.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, what happened to him now? Where is he going?
I can't talk. He's going to AC Milan. It looks like I can't.
Yeah,
talk
AC Milan. Yeah, that was
gonna make me cry.
Yeah, he's more of a deep lying playmaker type, dropping down, receiving the ball, turning, getting the ball into action. Or am I wrong?
It's a little both. I think he was a little bit typecast at Club Brugge. He was just with the lack of overall quality around him. So it's kind of like when Bruno's got to drop deep even when he's playing in a 10 because nobody else could really do that role. But Yashari got into advanced positions a lot. He created a lot of chances. He carried that ball from one box to the other on several occasions. I think when he's at a club with a little better quality around him and he can get a little bit more freedom, I think we're going to really see him reach a new level this season, which is why I'm so upset that we weren't really in for him.
Yeah, I think he'll suit the Italian league.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think I like Yashari. I mean we did a profile on him a couple of weeks ago. I like Yashari, but I don't think we're ever gonna have a sniff of him really.
No. Dan P says I take Ndidi as a nasty midfielder, which we lack. All last season, the opposition would just run into the back of our players and get away with it. Yeah,
he's a 20-minute player, 25 minutes. So all you get out of Ndidi, but you get a really solid, good 25
This is
minutes.
Premier League proven. He has experience. He has something to bring, but I think his passing stats are it's not good enough.
He can't pass for Toffee.
Yeah,
but he can't even look like he can't even do a 2-yard pass, let alone a 10-yard pass. But he can tackle and he will harry and he will press.
And also when it comes to Collier and Mainu, you say entire Simba comes in and say Collier is injury prone, and in my opinion, Mainu doesn't suit his system. He can play in the 10 or the 8. Kobe's best position is an 8 in a midfield 3. And I think that's a lot of Amorim's problem. We don't have the right player profiles to play his type of football right now. But maybe the players can adapt. They're still young.
Yeah, I think Mainu is the type that he can adapt. He's still got time to adapt and find a new role. So I think that's what the club will try and do. So,
he bulked up a bit since he got back from that last injury too. You notice he's bigger.
Yeah,
and I don't like it.
Yeah.
We know he's not eating enough food because there's no food left at the club. So
only soup.
Only soup.
Yeah,
he ate a lot.
And a bread roll.
Yeah. But this came out to Alfredo Pedrula, our Italian friend. The journalist came out and said United are tracking all of Richard Rios' matches, and he's considered a budget-friendly alternative, 20 to 25 million euros compared to Ederson. And we know Alfredo Pedrula he's been correct when it comes to Man United transfers before, but mainly from the Italian league when it comes to Onana, Højlund, and who else did we sign from Italy last season? There's one more. Zirkzee, yeah. He was 100% spot on with all of those 3 signings. So he's a credible journalist, Alfredo Pedrula, and I hope that we could go for a play like Richard Rios, in my opinion. I want to go move the show a little bit further because I want to talk about. I can just show this before we wrap up the midfield debate. It's also from Graham Bailey coming in and say, understand that Douglas Luiz would like to return to Premier League this summer, and his representatives have given him permission by Juventus to find the best option for him. So he wants to come back to the Premier League. I heard some rumors it was linked to Everton today, so I'm not sure how this will play itself out, but we will see. But I think we will sign a midfielder, but it will come in later in the window because, as someone on the panel mentioned, we have a lot of midfielders. We are stacked in that position still.
Well, stacked bodies-wise, I don't know if I would say stacked quality-wise.
No, it's true. It's true. Make a good point. I want to. I don't know if you know this, Sean, but we do also a segment of the show that's called the Daily Jackson. And guys, girls, welcome to the Daily Jackson. Yes, everybody, welcome to the Daily Jackson. Yes. Today we are going to talk about the latest when it comes to Gyökeres Jackson. It's an ongoing joke on the channel. No disrespect to Gyökeres Jackson, but we
love you, Gyökeres Jackson.
Yes. So this came out today. It's from Ornstein and the Athletic podcast that was saying, I don't think Chelsea are actively trying to shift Gyökeres Jackson, but it's liked by a lot of clubs, and Chelsea are always open to conversations. So there's still a chance that we can sign Gyökeres Jackson by the end of the window. So don't despair, my friends.
Yeah,
still a chance.
That's a new one for me. They're open to conversations.
And rumour has it that what's happening is Manchester United are currently repainting the actual Old Trafford Stadium and the Gurdon at the very, very top. And Gyökeres Jackson apparently has been seen trying to paint there with his white overalls on, and he's got a Manchester United strip underneath. So every time he sees Amorim coming on, he whips the overalls off in the Man United kit, going like that. Gyökeres Jackson. The next time you're around Old Trafford, keep looking for him. He was in the tent the other day. He's on the Gurdon at Old Trafford tonight. Gyökeres Jackson.
Lovely Gyökeres Jackson. Well, yeah, I think we are 1 hour 30 minutes into the show. We can. There's still some other updates when it comes to Man United. We talked about the Greenwood thing. We talked about the Botafogo goalkeeper, Calvert-Lewin. Diego Leon is confirmed the last couple of days. I like this interview. He looks like he wants to give it a go, try to get into the first team squad in pre-season. But there's one more link before we go into the Q&A, and that's Scalvini. I don't know, guys. The centre back from Italy played really well in the Europa League final last season, or 2 seasons ago, and the Man United are reportedly interested in signing the Atalanta defender Giorgio Scalvini, but face strong competition from Premier League rivals for his signature. I think he would be one of the best signings we can do. He played in a back three for years now in Atalanta, and he's a strong defender. He's still young. He's versatile. I think he can play both. He's a left back and left wide centre back. So I don't know, guys. Do you know anything about them, Johnny K? You're an Italian Serie A expert.
Johnny K's an expert on everything now.
Unfortunately, that's not something I'm totally familiar with. But I honestly don't know a lot about this by Jarvis, so I can't possibly say whether he's the right player. But I'm sure he's certainly one for the future. So.
Yeah, I think he'll come with a hefty price tag, Jarvis. That's my only issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know his price tag. I haven't looked into him.
Come with a hefty price tag. I think he's ideal for us. I really do. I think he's ideal for us. Whether or not, though, he's what we need, yes. Or whether or not he's priority, no. That's the issue.
Okay. 50 million plus, according to Danny B. His stuff. So
yeah, it's big money. But I the bits I've seen of him, I saw him linked with us today actually, and when I got back late afternoon, I had a quick look at him, and I think he's got good stats. His heat map, I think, is quite decent. So.
Yeah, I don't know, Sean. Do you know anything about Scalvini?
Yeah, he's a very good young center back. I'm not 100% convinced by the source. Give Me Sport. I'm not. Like I went to Give Me Sport, and then the Give Me Sport article that talks about this is referring to an article in Caught Offside. And anybody who watches my channel know that when I see Caught Offside, I tend to just move right on. So I don't think there's much in this, honestly. But Scalvini, though, is a very good young center back. I like him a lot. I'm surprised to see us center. Like I went in when Licha got his injury. That one of the first things I was doing on my channel was like center back replacements for him. A lot of left-sided, a lot of physical, a lot of good on the ball center backs. Because I was thinking that's what we needed. So it doesn't seem like the club is prioritizing that at the moment, though.
Yeah, he'll end up at Juve anyway. Juve or
probably.
I think we probably won't look at centre because we've got other areas of priority, and I think in fairness, the centre half area we're reasonably stocked. So I think we maybe something we'll look to do next summer, maybe, but not this one.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, it's right-footed, and but he plays on the left side. So I don't know if you get the right passing angles when it comes to this.
I don't think
we got Martinez in heaven, though, haven't we?
Yeah. So it shouldn't be a problem. I don't think we will sign him, but it's worth mentioning. I want to do a quick Q&A before we wrap up the show. So, guys, let's play the
jingle,
and Stu will take over the show. Okay.
Let me change this. Let me switch this. Roll up, and welcome to our Q&A. It's a great segment. We have a lot of fun on the Q&A. There's been tons of questions coming in. So let's go straight into it. Boxing Straight Talk has said, for the panel, do you think this manager needed to be a Sean Dyche type? Someone that can work with small budgets and get the best out of what's at a club? Sean, as our debutant, we will send that to you.
So is Sean Dyche type just means someone who can work with the small? I think because isn't that what Amorim has done at Sporting? Don't they usually work with a small budget? They promote a lot of the youth and things. I guess I agree and disagree, but at the same time, this is United. I think that was a big part of what got Ten Hag into trouble was when it comes to the talent identification, thinking small, like an Ajax size when he needed to think a little bigger. And so I've seen a lot of fans talk about Amorim, maybe the job is too big, but if you want a manager who's used to working with a small budget and getting out the best out of those kind of players, would that not be the same kind of thing? So I respectfully maybe disagree, but I don't think it's as black and white as that. So I'm sorry if there's not a more definitive answer from me, but I think as far as a small budget, I think that Amorim does tick that box a little bit.
I think, yeah, because I agree that you look at Amorim, he came from sports, like Sean said, they have a limited budget. We had Ten Hag beforehand, Ajax, who also have they can't big spend. So these are managers that did do well in Europe with a limited budget. Come to United and hasn't worked out just yet with Amorim. It didn't work out with Ten Hag. I think this is, I think trying to see post in the comments, I think Danny B saying that's why Ashworth got sacked. That, we're looking at someone like Thomas Frank might have been in that category where it's like young manager, Prem-proof and that kind of thing. He's now gone to Tottenham, we'll see, and they're in a similar position to where we are. So that it'll be interesting to see how he develops there. But I don't personally think they made a mistake picking Amorim because I think he is a young up-and-coming manager. He is someone that the top clubs will want. You do want to attract a manager who can build and also use a budget, but can also, help improve the standard. Now, obviously, the squad doesn't quite suit criteria at this present moment, but I think if you were to back him, it could work out. But it's a question of whether the club will back him. Otherwise, if we do sack Amorim, where do we go then? We might go for a Southgate, someone like that, someone who won't necessarily win but can build us up. And it's horrible the thought, but I don't know where else we go. So.
Well, let's hope we're not in a position come January where the club feel they need to change manager. Who knows? Trev, just a bit of a tongue-in-cheek question. Can Phil American Jones tell me about the art of defending?
Do I look like Phil Jones? Is it McTominay or is it Phil Jones? You can't have both.
Well, I don't think they can make up their mind, to be honest, Sean. Danny B says, question Jarvis. Cunha had better wing backs, which is absolutely true at Wolves. Yeah. Will he move the shit needle? Or will he move the needle? I think what he's saying is,
I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Well, it's up to Cunha now to prove that he's worth 62.5 million. You have to be able to work with what you got, and he knew this when he came into Man United that we had the players that we have. So he have to have the confidence himself that he will actually perform in this Man United team. But we could see a drop off, and we always see a drop off when we sign big signings at Man United. They never perform, and that's also one of my worries. So it could happen. That's a good question, Danny B. But for me, I think it's good enough, and I think he will succeed at Man United. At least by what Stu told me, he's been live watching him doing the scouting on Wolves Stadium, the Molineux, and he took notes. He sent them to me directly, and we analyzed it. So for me, I think he will be good enough.
Well, I even called him over. He was going off at our time. I said, "Cunha, here, listen, son, I want you here. Get the ball tight, move it quicker." No, the thing about Cunha. What you don't really see about Cunha actually on television, that you do see live is. He's off the ball work. He's quite a spirited player in as much as he doesn't hang around. He'll close you down, but when he gets it, he's determined. Like me, we lack determination. Players on the ball. So I think it'll make a big difference. And one player can make a big difference to a team ethic. It really can. Rob Taff, we kind of spoken about this. Thanks, Danny, for the question, pal. We've kind of spoken about this. We don't think I think collectively we all agree we don't think there'll be a centre-back purchase. Jarvis, one for you here, because you have floated the idea of a right wing-back. For me, I think Cunha plays as a 10. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, that's him as a 10 for sure.
Yeah, John, fucking hell, Johnny?
Agreed. I think Ahmad and Dallo might interchange at wing back, right wing back.
Yeah, Jarvis. Now I know you've got a theory on this.
Yeah, and Mbumo. Yeah, I think he will interchange with Ahmad. They both can fill the right wing back role. So I believe both of them. And as we talked about, I mentioned it last show that we talked about the fluent attack, but we will also see a fluent right-hand side with both Mbumo and Ahmad actually interchanging, doing the job as the right wing-back. And I think that will give us a lot of versatility when it comes to the right-hand side. And hopefully they will have the dynamic and know how to play together.
Yeah,
I think you see a lot of underlap and overlap in there.
I actually think you might be right, Jarvis. I think it might be a question of if Ahmad doesn't play, and Mbumo may well play right wing back. I totally agree with you on that one. Yeah. But I think ultimately, when you look at Mbumo's heat map, he's not an orthodox 10 anyway. He covers the length of the pitch. And Cunha is very similar. He will cover the length of the pitch, and it'll be quite interesting to see.
Could it be that we actually attack with two number 10s, right-sided number 10s, and defend with two right-sided wing backs?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So we will be hard to break down because they will probably run up and down.
I can see that. Yeah. I think you're going to see a more industrious attacking and defending system. Yeah, absolutely. You'll love Trev. He's brilliant. He's a top lad. Just give him a quick face then. Just do a quick gurn. Come on, give him a gurn. That's it.
There you go. I like that.
Trev, just for you, Trev. The full Jones. Okay, you're fired, Jarvis, according to Trev. You meant to, Trev, unfortunately for you, pal, there is going to be a Daily Jackson every day.
A daily
for the rest of your life.
Catherine No Nonsense McDaid wanting a no nonsense answer to a no nonsense question. It's a bit of a tricky one, that, Catherine.
Nah, I think a lot of Premier League players are overrated, but a lot of players are underrated too. It's a lot about social media followings and what supermodel you are dating and a lot of other stuff. It doesn't come down to football, and we've seen it with a lot of players. For example, Anderson at Newcastle, the midfielder. No one hardly speaks about him. He's one of the best midfielders of the season. But we hear side up and side down when it comes to Rashford or Sancho or mediocre. So yeah, a lot of players are overhyped and players are underrated. But I won't say it's just down to English players. No, not how I see it.
No, I agree. Catherine, I hope that answers your question. Trev, Stu, am I the snail? I've tipped and time. Trev, believe it or not, there's a couple of players that are actually slower than me, which is almost impossible because my lad reckons, although I think I'm going at rapid pace, my lad says I'm walking. So, but there are slower players than me, Trev. So I'm not the snail for tips and time, especially when I've got my Zimmer frame. It's got two little rockets just on the foot by the wheels. And that really gets me going quite nicely. So, Cash, question, where is Tom Porter? Have we seen Tom Porter in the chat, guys? He was in earlier.
Yes.
But I don't know where he is. Love this question. Very quick answer, starting from Jarvis. Who is your favourite superhero?
That's a tough one. Spider-Man, maybe.
Okay,
I used to read Spider-Man comics when I was younger, so maybe Spider-Man, Super Ted.
Sure.
Oh, man, I don't have the comics. I just watch the movies, so I don't know. Deadpool's pretty funny. I guess I'll go with Deadpool.
Johnny K.
Eric Cantona.
Yes,
I'm joking.
Sneaky one.
Yeah, probably Batman.
I'm not into comic books or anything like that, but there's only one superhero that wipes the floor with everybody else, and that is Robin. He's the greatest. He's better than Batman. Robin is the coolest, so I'm going to go with Robin.
I did actually. Me and my best friend did dress up as Batman and Robin, and I was Robin. So,
well, you chose the right one, Johnny K. You chose the right one.
Yes.
Trev's back in with one of his serious questions. Will Amorim's stubbornness get him the sack before anything else? As we know, he will not change his system. John, Sean, and Jarvis. Start with you, John.
Well, stubbornness as in like the formation, but I think he has shown at times that he can be adaptable. Sometimes you might play back five and then sometimes be a back three, and then so I think it is interchangeable. I don't think it's necessarily, if you fail, it's down to the setup necessarily. It just depends on the game adaptability. But I think at times he has shown he's been a bit slow to react to certain things, and he's not been willing to change up right. And I think the Tottenham final was an example of that. So yes, he has to demonstrate that he's willing to adapt in terms of like making in-game decisions. I feel it's the in-game decisions which are more important that he needs to get better at that rather than changing the structure. But that's the area I would say he needs to improve.
Okay, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I think people sometimes think that formation and system are interchangeable, and they're very separate. They're not necessarily the same thing, like you were getting at, John. And I think that my biggest gripe with Amorim has been more the team selection and the substitutions more than anything. And I think that I think it's just funny. I feel like this is going to be one of those either or debates that goes on for a while. It started from the get-go. People were already saying he needed to switch to a back four. But as soon as he does, all the headlines are going to be he abandons his principle. Robbie Savage is going to come in and have a field day with this. It's just it's lose-lose no matter what you do at United these days. And so I think with Amorim, it's more about, again, shifting the way the players are seeing the game and playing the game, and the physicality and the mentality, and just the way they're engaging both rest defense, attacking, and positional awareness, all that kind of stuff. And so I don't care as much about the formation as much about just what we're doing in given situations, which really is the tactics and the system personally. But like Ineos knew what they were doing with Amorim, and so I don't know what they like. I don't know why they would pressure him to change. They knew exactly the kind of system he played when they gave him that ultimatum in November. So I don't see that being a problem.
Yeah, Jarvis.
I think he needs to be stubborn. I don't think it's time to change it up. But he needs to adapt to the Premier League 100%. We also, even Pep Guardiola, he adapted after his first season. So I hope he learned a thing or two since he arrived beginning of December. So I don't want them to pressure him to change his formation. We are trying to build a 3-4-2-1 system right now with specialist players, all playing wide centre backs, wing backs, number 10s. So we know how difficult it is, and it will take time. My question is, do the fans have the time? Because we know we're a massive club, and when the pressure starts going, it will be tough. This board, Ineos, they decided to keep Ten Hag after the FA Cup final, but it only took them up until, what was it, October, November, before the Ten Hag was sacked again. So when the pressure gets going and the boiler starts cooking, it's going to be tough. So for me, it's hard to say, but we could get him sacked. Yes.
Well, for me, me, tactics, formations, tiny part of it. If you are an elite footballer and you need to be told where to stand on a football pitch, and you can't read a game of football, you're in the wrong job, mate. You really are. It's the most mind-numbingly amazing thing I can never get my head around about an elite footballer. If you still at 28, 29, 30 need to be told what to do on a football pitch, you shouldn't be anywhere near it. And that's the biggest issue with our players. They think they know it, and they just don't put it into practice. So.
Well, what's it going to say about Ineos if they sack Ashworth, they sack Ten Hag, and they turn around and sack Amorim?
I don't think they can sack him.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, what's it say about them if they do that? That's 3 major decisions that they'll basically be admitting that they fucked up. So
they can't sack it. So that kind of Zimba kind of answers your question as well. So we kind of covered both of those. But thanks for your question anyway. Okay, Mr. B wants to know: do you say football or soccer?
Honestly, and you might go in. It depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to people who know football, I say football. If I talk to my wife or my parents or people or friends who don't know anything, I'll say soccer. So I won't go into the conversation with them thinking I'm talking about the Lions or something. That's just you have to navigate that here. That's just how it rolls.
Okay. Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. It's one of those, isn't it? Where are we? Okay. 2 questions to go. Penultimate question. Question: if there's one player out there, who would you sign, lads? Start with you, Jarvis.
Right now, I'm quite fond of the Aston Villa midfielder that played for Valencia last season. What's his name again?
Baron Tessia.
Yes, that's the guy, because I think he has the attributes we need. He's the right profile of player. He's the closest thing with Sander Berg I could find statistically, and comparing heat maps and stuff like that. So I think he could be, and I also have the Argentinian fire in his tackles. So I love players with that type of attitude. you have always talked about Cunha and his attitude, and
Yes.
we know Licha and his attitude. So I want more players with that type of attitude, the no nonsense, no die mentality. I think we've been missing it since the Fergie days. So we need more players like that, and he's one of the players I would actually like to sign. So Enzo Baranchecha, yeah.
Yeah. Sean?
I mean, it's gonna seem funny, but I would go sign Andre Lunin from Real Madrid and tell Onana to fuck off. I'm done with Onana. I think Andre Lunin, he's a good age. When he stepped up for Courtois a couple years ago, he was immense for Madrid, especially like against City in the Champions League. And if you can handle the pressure of playing for Real Madrid, you can handle the pressure, I think, of playing for Manchester United for sure. And I think it's not hard to be an improvement upon Onana, but he's definitely one of my, and he's not expensive either.
Yeah.
No,
I'd agree.
What are we talking about? How much?
Oh, I think it was like 20, 21, 20, maybe between 20, 25 million, I think was the last price I saw. He signed a new contract not that long ago, but I think that was because he was going into like the final year of his contract. And so.
Okay.
Johnny?
If I would probably say Ruben Neves. I think he's because I've watched Al Hilal a couple of times at this World Cup. Saw them play City and Real Madrid, and Neves was excellent in the midfield, and I think he'd be brilliant in our midfield. But it's unlikely we're going to get him in terms of. I'll probably say Ruben Neves.
He was, of all the players that went to the Saudi League, he was the one I was most disappointed who went there. I thought he would have been perfect for us.
But he's won me over because he played in Orlando on Friday night, which is where I live, and then he went back for Jota's funeral. So yeah, I think he's a great guy, and I think he's a fantastic player. So yeah.
Still young, isn't he?
Yeah, he's about
27 or something. Right?
27, 28.
Way too young to play in the Saudi league.
Yeah.
Actually, play we should try to go for. I agree.
This club will go pay. He's been fantastic, and I thought maybe going to Saudi league he might slow down a bit. He's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Who would I sign? Kvaratskhelia, I would imagine, from PSG. I think he's fucking top drawer.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking top drawer. I think he's just brilliant. But we haven't got hope of getting him, so there you go. There's my dream. Right. Jarvis, you look like the mob boss. Michael.
Yeah. Mick and I used to do the Don Corleone thing all the time a couple of years ago. So I will give you an offer you can't refuse.
Catherine, no nonsense. McDade wants to know what shampoo you use, Jarvis.
Yeah, whatever my girlfriend or daughter leaves in the shower.
Nice.
I have to be honest.
Nice, and that's half the women who are watching us have now left.
But they always have like those fancy hairdresser shampoos, you know.
Vidal Sassoon in the UK. That's what it used to be, buddy. Trev says, Sean, can you say fuck off?
Fuck off. Yeah. Michigan, I guess we have a Midwestern accent. Obviously, I don't notice it because I'm from here, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. So there's one question left and I've lost it. Yes, from Wendy Grant. Do you think United has lost the cash of academy players wanting to play in the first team?
No.
What's the case with that one?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think many of the academy players do still have the aspiration to play for United. Some have different ambitions, but yeah, I still think I wouldn't say I'm too concerned about that at the moment.
Yeah. Jarvis?
Nah, I think it's difficult because the environment is so hard. It's so tough for youngsters to come up into this first team squad. So I think the expectations we big up like young players, Chido, Obi Martin, 16-year-olds, Leon now, 17 years old, coming in with all this pressure, and they have already made it before playing a game for the first team. So a lot of these guys, I think they lose a lot of their motivation when it comes to becoming the player they could have been if they have just kept their head down and kept working hard. So I see it coming less and less with youngsters. I think we are dropping out on the culture just because we are a massive club and the fame and fortune is blocking the way, not Manchester United per se, but it's more about the concept of Man United, that what we have become. We have become the Disney of football now, the last 18 years after the Glazers took over. So, yeah.
Yeah, biggest issue with our young players at the moment is the pathway through. So back in the 70s, 80s and 90s, you used to have reserve team football. Reserve team football was designed as a proper gateway to the first team. But you would go away to Liverpool, or you go away to City or whoever, and they would be having 2 or 3 players, first team players, coming back from injury. And you'd be playing against proper men, proper hard football. And I think that's the biggest issue we got. It's the biggest gap with modern day football. They're playing against each other now. And we've seen it with a lot of young players. Obi Martin himself, when he came on for his cameos, he was struggling with the height and the strength and the power of these footballers. So I think it needs to go back. We need to completely relook at, or the authorities need to relook at the youth system and how they integrate them properly into men's football. That's what I think. Sean?
Yeah, I love the academy. I was fortunate enough to go to a FA Youth Cup game when I was there in January with a friend of mine. Excellent experience. We've done some watch-alongs on the channel for the academy. I've done videos on the academy. I think the academy is the strongest it's been in decades, personally. And Wilcox, Fletcher, even Amorim has showed up to a lot of matches. Remember Aiden Heaven gave that interview a couple weeks ago where he said, the pathway to the first team is really what convinced him. And it's not just because it's what we've told him, but he cited, like, looking at the statistics over the last couple of years, United have given more minutes to youngsters than like any other Premier League club.
Yeah.
And we have that foundation. I love that about this club. I don't think we should force it just to keep a record going, but I do think the academy players are very good. And so, like you're saying, it's a lot of really good players in the academy, several of whom I would like to see on this preseason tour, like Camison, guys like that. But we'll see. I think it's kind of up to them, whether or not they're ready. They could go like the Angel Gomez route when they're 17 and want to leave and go play, or they could, put their head down, go on loan. There's a lot of options, but I'm more excited about the academy than anything. I haven't really thought about it in any negative ways, I guess, is my best way of answering it.
Okay.
We do have a good academy. We got some very, very good players, but we can't prep them for the Premier League, and we must do that. Final question, Catherine No Nonsense McDade again. Stu, do you use just for men? Actually, I don't. I am going grey in and around here and here, but not quite on the old. Although there's not much hair there, I'm not quite going grey yet. But if I ever do use it, Catherine, I will let you know. That kind of wraps up the Q&A, guys. Still a massive 355 watching. I think we're on about 70 likes, aren't we, Joe? 80 likes, I think, Jarvis, last time I looked.
Yeah, around 80, but some of the moderators can update us on the latest like count. Yeah, it's been a great show. It's been a great Q&A, but I have 2 things.
Oh, bloody hell. Me and Jarvis always do that, don't we, Bell?
We always do that.
We do.
Yeah. I got this one for you guys. I love. I think Stu will love this segment. It's the 1977 FA Cup team that won the final. But my question to you guys, and you can help each other out. It's not a competition. How many players do you recognize in this team?
Okay.
Well, I've met Martin Buchan, who's the captain. There's Jimmy and Brian Green off there, obviously. Stepney.
Stepney's the only one I recognize.
Stepney, that's the goalkeeper.
Lou
Macari, Stuart Pearson, and is it I can't. The two at the end, I just can't think of at the top.
This is well before my time.
Johnny, it's the ginger of the bloke called Nickel.
Is that Gordon Hill?
No, Gordon Hill's down. He's next door to Martin Buchan. Then there's Albiston, Coppell, Pearson, Macari, Jimmy Greenough. I think that's
Brian Greenough.
Brian Greenoff's next door to Stepney, and I think it's Nickel. And I can't quite remember the other two. I think it's Nickel, but I could be wrong.
Sammy McElroy.
I'll tell you something that
Is that Mac? Is that Mac with the moustache?
Yeah, Sammy McElroy.
Is that Mac with a moustache? I've never seen Mac with a moustache. Have you, John?
No, I haven't.
I've never seen Sammy Mac with a moustache. That's why I didn't go for it.
There was one. I'll have to send it to you, Stu. I had a picture from the Youth Cup semi-final 1959 at Old Trafford. And
Jimmy Nickel, cheers, Vitonator. I knew you'd know it, pal. That's McCreary to the right of him. Yes, and it's McElroy. I knew you'd knew it. I knew it was Nickel, but I couldn't remember. Cheers, Vitonator. There you go. I got about 90%, Jarvis.
Yeah,
which isn't bad.
I'm quite impressed. But I couldn't contribute much when it comes to this. I knew we could do it together as a
I did call some of them.
Like, that's what cheered me up the most.
No, I got about 6 or 7.
You know what? It's McElroy with a tash that caught me out there completely. Caught me out with a tash. Yeah, I don't ever remember McElroy with a tash, but there you go. Wow.
Yeah. Did you ever have a tash yourself, Stu? Back in the days? The long curly hair, Mario Kempes look like the rugged.
I look at tit anyway. I'd look even worse with a moustache. But I did have longish hair, yeah. When I was a tiddler. You know, I was about 16, 17. I had long hair, and I didn't have it in an Alice band like my old mate Jarvis to my right, my left as I can see him. I didn't have an Alice band, but I did try and put it in a ponytail once, but it didn't look good at all. But by the way, go put that picture back up. It was my first strip. That was my first kit. That's my very, very, very first kit. That was. It's the one that because my first match was 77, and I just absolutely love that kit.
Rob Taff comes in with an update. He say, honestly, Mark Goldbridge messaged me and said he's enjoyed the show. He did say that Stu dyes his hair. Mark my words, Mark's words, not mine. So
thanks for that, pal. I promise I don't do it. Yeah, I promise I don't dye my hair. But what, the Cantona one, the black?
Yeah, that's mine.
It's a lovely shirt.
That's the actual shirt in there too. I just stuffed it in there.
Wow.
My favourite ever away kit.
Yeah.
My favourite ever away kit, there's only one, and it was 1976.
79, the white one.
The one down there with the 4 stripes.
Yeah.
It's a bit later, wasn't it? Yeah, 17.
That was Jimmy Greenoff against the Scousers again, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, if you look at the opening credits, Jarvis has put Ray Clements tapping Jimmy on the head. Number 8, Jimmy Greenoff was number 8 at the time. I love that kit. It's one of my all-time favourites. All-time favourites. I have to say.
Nice. Before we wrap up the show,
you legend. Yeah, it was my first kit. I was the only one in my school. I went to a small village school. And the transfers used to come off, Jarvis, and nobody will remember that, but the Vutinator will. Your mum would used to watch it and you, where are my transfers gone? And in our school, it was Liverpool and Wolves. But Wolves had got, obviously, at the time, I think they just changed to the actual face. So one of the lads' parents actually made took the transfer off and actually designed and cut a proper patch on for him, so he sewed it on. I always remember that. So Stuart James, that was. There you go.
I just wanted to mention before we go, there's some updates from Rushmano. Thank you, Rushy, for bringing me this. He said Christopher Michel coming in with some money for Man United, that Lega Warsawa's Maxi Oyedele is on the radar of Europe's top 5 leagues and could move for a 6 million euros this summer. So Man United would benefit if he's sold and could receive 40% of the sum. So that's at least some positive news. And also this comes in from Talk Sports Alex Crook. I don't know how reliable this guy is, but he say Ethan Navaneri situation one to watch over the coming weeks. Told he's reluctant to sign a new deal at Arsenal without being guaranteed regular playing time. So all of the big clubs in Europe are on alert. I don't know if any of you heard about this.
It's been reported a few times, that has.
Yeah. So,
what position does he play, and what area? What position is it?
I don't really know, but I know it's been reported a few times, but I don't know too much about him.
Well, at least there's some updates, some positive news. Stu, Sean, before we go, you want to tell the audience about your channel? And guys, you have to go check it out. It's a great channel. We do a lot of breakdown, scouting, heat maps, FP referables, and a lot of names that you haven't heard about. And I see a lot of these people who are in the chat. You guys also watch United versus everybody.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, it's United versus everybody, all one word. Been around for a little over a year now. Yeah, just small channel. But yeah, it's great. Throughout the season, I'll try to do some previews and reactions, keep up with the transfer talk. But I do have a lot of scouting interest from years ago. So like right now, I'm going through my old scouting reports from a couple of years ago and having people tell me, were these hits or were these complete misses? But I try to do a scouting report in every just random video if I can, but it's a fun channel. We keep it pretty chill, just like you guys do. It's pretty relaxed. And I try to get through all the chats as much as possible as I can as well, but it's been fun. I would talk about this kind of stuff on my own anyway. So I just figured I might as well just sit in front of a camera and interact with other people while I'm doing it. So, but it's been fun.
So everybody, do us a favor, do Sean a favor, go to your channel and subscribe and hit the bell notification and catch his show next time he goes live. When you usually go live, British time, UK time?
It usually depends. I'll try when I'm doing like the news roundups, it'll be probably around 5 to 6 my time, which would probably be 10, 11 UK time. So probably a little late overseas, but since I don't always go every day, and I definitely don't do multiple videos usually in a day, I'll usually wait till the end of the day to kind of wrap up the news, just to kind of get everyone's thoughts on it and everything. And then we've started doing a weekly show called The Kickabout, where my buddy Dylan and I will kind of go over like what you guys are doing now, kind of going over the last week or so, the last couple of days, and just recapping everything. It's even more chill than the normal shows, but it's fun. And like, I'm very new to the YouTube thing. I wouldn't even consider myself a content creator, but really it's been more of a blast just to meet new people like you guys, like Rich and his channel, Danny B, all these guys, Rob, and just hear more opinions, build the community. And that to me has been a pleasure. You get to interact with people from all over the world and talk about United on a regular basis. I mean, it sounds like I'm old, but I'm like, how cool is that, dude? Technology, it's awesome.
100%. I agree. So don't forget, go to United versus everybody and check out his channel. Go there right after this show is gone. But I will redirect the show when we end. Let's see who's still live.
Thank you, Catherine.
Cass is still alive, so I will redirect you to Cass's channel, and remember to say Tactical Devils Raid in the chat while we're gone. It's been a great show. Wootinator, Rob Taft, Trevor Wade, Catherine McDade, Danny B, Joe Buckley, all of you guys coming in. A lot of great questions. Mark Langridge, Rushmano, thank you for the updates. It's been a brilliant show, and Johnny Kermode, always knowledgeable when it comes to Man United, and Stu Woolley and Sean. It's been a great panel tonight. We will be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. UK, with Jarvis's Corner as usual. We will do a Scorsese movie. I will try to put together a panel tomorrow night too for you guys, so it will be a cracking show. So just tune in tomorrow night, 9 p.m. It's been a great show, everybody. Go over to Cass's channel. Remember to say Tactical Devils Raid. Everybody, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you for having me too, Jarvis.
Yeah, well.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.